Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my comedian boyfriend after I explicitly told him not to joke about our sex life in his shows? This might be quite interesting. I never had a comedian boyfriend. I don't know what I would do myself, but I'd like to hear the context. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. I, 33 female, was dating my boyfriend, 38 male, who is a comedian. Early on in our relationship, I set a clear boundary. I was not comfortable with him joking about me, especially about our sex life, in his stand-up, even if the stories were exaggerated or completely made up for the sake of comedy. I explained that I value privacy and didn't want intimate or personal aspects of our relationship turned into material for an audience. He agreed and said he understood. Did he? Considering the title of this story. His jokes are usually about him and stuff that happens to him, so I wasn't really concerned about it. And he is very funny. But I know how these things end up, so I just wanted to protect what we had. Understandable. I definitely would never want to have my partner joking about our relationship. That is, in a sense, maybe vicious. You know, if it's funny, like lighthearted and most likely not true, then yeah, that's okay. But sex life is very intimate subject, in my opinion.
I'm too sexy for my love, too sexy for my love, love's going to leave.
However, last week he had a big show that was important for his career. During the set, he started talking about his childhood, then transitioned into his past relationships, and eventually began talking about how we met and got into our sex life. About very private stuff, a mix between real facts and made-up stories. I think it would have been very, very different maybe if the part about your sex life was completely made up. But unfortunately, he disclosed stuff that were real and in front of probably hundreds of people. Not good, not good. What made this worse is that I had invited my family, co-workers and close friends to support him that night. Oh God, no. And they were listening to their jokes about your sex life. Sitting there while he joked about intimate parts of our relationship in front of people I see regularly was humiliating. Everyone was looking at me because he had preciously pointed at me. Oh my fucking God. Why would you point at your partner? Oh, it made it even worse. Oh, I would feel so embarrassed. Friends, maybe I wouldn't give a shit that much, but parents and co-workers. Oh man. I couldn't take it and I just left. When I confronted him afterward, he said it was just a joke, part of his job, and that I was being too sensitive and limiting his creativity. But everyone was laughing. That was his stupid excuse. Well, if anything, the only person who's limiting your creativity is you, mate. Use your imagination. And don't talk about your sex life. There's so many different genres of comedy you could go into and not talk about your sex life. He also said that because we hadn't talked about this boundary in a long time, we've been together for 3 years, he assumed I had grown out of it. I love when, and that's a very human thing, I believe, that sometimes we do things that we know they're inherently wrong, but after the situation occurred and took place, we are trying to justify it, minimize the impact of it, and so on, to just make ourselves feel better. That's the sad truth, unfortunately. I felt this was unfair because I never revoked that boundary, and I don't think consent expires just because time passes or a topic isn't constantly revisited. Yeah, exactly. I decided to break up with him because I felt like my consent and comfort were less important than getting laughs. Yes, in a sense, he minimized that boundary, but I wouldn't say it's just for laughs. Clearly, it's his way of earning money. So it's more of that, but I don't know if that actually makes it better because it's done for money. Oh, God. Now, he's telling people I ended things over harmless jokes and that I couldn't handle dating a comedian. Some friends are split. My family, close friends and co-workers are on my side. But our friends in common think I should reconsider my decision and that I should have seen that coming, since he's a comedian. No, she shouldn't have seen that coming because she set the boundary at the very beginning, and if he knew he's not going to keep it, who should have said that to her? Tell her that we need to revisit that boundary and find out if DOP is happy with new arrangement, because if she's not, then maybe the whole relationship should have been then discussed. At least that doesn't have to happen now because she broke up with him. I wouldn't mind if he made fun of me in general, but our private life was the limit. I feel like I did the right thing. I feel like if I let this slip, he would be justified to disrespect me again. Am I the a-hole? What would you do? Again, everybody has different approach to specific private topics, especially when it comes to romantic relationships. But the difference in this case is, and I don't think that you're an a-hole, is that you set that boundary from the get-go. You made it very, very clear. And it was broken because he wanted to make an impression. I don't think you're overreacting. You made it very, very clear. And as you said, because 3 years passed since the discussion about that specific topic, that was meant to be off limit in his program, doesn't mean that the consent somehow now reappeared and you change your mind because you've been together for 3 years. Doesn't work like that. Update. After reading the comments and taking some time to reflect on the matter, I wanted to reply to everyone with this update. I want to clarify something that came up in a few comments. I was not holding him back. I always supported his humor and even encouraged him to roast me. I genuinely found him funny. That was attractive to me. A fun man is always a plus, which is why I also invited people I cared about to come and support him. He only had one thing that he was not supposed to make fun of. He could have joked about anything else. That makes it even worse. Yeah. I already said I don't think you're an a-hole. Or overreacting or anything like that. Not whatsoever. I only ever had one clear boundary, and that boundary was crossed. At first, when I was told by some mutual friends, that problematic group I previously mentioned, that I was too sensitive and that I had ruined his night, I felt awful and internalized the blame. After stepping back, I have come to understand that he knowingly put himself in that situation by crossing a boundary. I had clearly communicated. Even if we didn't talk about it recently, it was still valid. Yeah, I can understand why people could say, well, it was his big night. It was meant to be like a breakthrough night for him, I believe. And from the outside, could look like you ruined his big moment that you took away from this experience. But the problem is, he crossed the line. He stepped over that line. He kicked it, essentially. Buried, pretended that doesn't exist. So, unfortunately, I agree with you. He cooked it for himself. It was his decision, conscious decision. Maybe he's just a silly bugger. I think he really believed that it's not a big deal and didn't anticipate your reaction whatsoever. But that also says something about him, that he really doesn't know you, does he? His family and close friends unfollowed, blocked me everywhere, so I know where they stand. It's fine. I'm not gonna moan. I will be honest that the idea of going public is tempting, but I'm choosing not to because I want peace more than validation. Of course, you don't need that validation whatsoever. Besides, even if you went on public, explain your side of the story, more likely majority of the people wouldn't even change their mind about it anyway, and probably will think that you trying to explain yourself or make yourself look better, trying to clear your conscience and so on. It wouldn't help you whatsoever, probably would make the whole situation worse. Your validation here on Reddit is enough for me. Ah, you're welcome, OP. You guys, my family and my true friends are on my side, and that's what matters to me. This group of friends' intervention was what made me doubt of myself. So yeah, I'm not planning to make a public statement or turn this into something bigger than it already is. I want to leave this behind me, even though I recognize that I could speak publicly if I wanted to, and I would cause a big mess. I do not feel like the 3 years we spent together were wasted. We shared many good moments, and I value what we had. It's just in the past now. Very good. With some distance and time alone, I have also been able to recognize patterns of his selfish behavior that I previously overlooked, and I'm no longer willing to stay in a relationship where those patterns exist. This decision was not about controlling him or limiting who he is. It was about respecting myself. I am focusing on healing because, trust me, it was very embarrassing, and moving forward, and I feel more confident in my decision. Thank you to everyone here who offered such thoughtful and supportive advice, and a few laughs too. You're funnier than he could ever dream of being. Oh, what a roast. I really needed it. You're welcome, although I wasn't in the comments whatsoever. But I would really want to read them now and see what people told you, because it seems so wholesome. I'm glad that you got from posting on Reddit what you needed, and you've made the best decision for yourself possible. But because I'm nosy, I'm really interested to know what other toxic, selfish behaviors your boyfriend was showing that ultimately confirmed for you that it was a good decision to make, to split up from him. But it's just me, I'm nosy. That's all. One of the comments I think that got the most likes at the very top. Not the a-hole, not the a-hole, not the a-hole. He wanted the laughs and applause more than he wanted to respect your comfort and privacy. Yep. Having done it once and gotten the audience reaction he craved, he would 100% have done it again. It's like a drug to this type of performer. Exactly. I sometimes think, and I know that might sound a little bit judgmental, what I'm gonna say right now, and obviously I didn't do any research or anything like that, it's just a feeling, it's my channel, so I want to talk about what I feel, what I think. If you look, really, there's many comedians or like comedian actors who after years came back and said that they were very depressed. And I've got the feeling that lots of times, even when you look into your own life, the comedians in your class, in school, were always those people who were trying to find that validation, to make themselves feel better, and by that other people, because they maybe felt like they were lacking or they were just very deeply sad people. So, because they couldn't make themselves feel happy, they externalized that. And once they felt a validation that they maybe have some use to the world, that people laugh at their jokes and appreciate their presence, they crave it. It's addictive. And I can tell from my own experience, I'm not in any capacity the funny person. If anything, jokes just get past me completely. Oftentimes I just don't get them, especially the jokes. But I can sympathize and empathize with the scenario when you're looking for that external validation, trying to keep achieving, moving the goalpost, because that's the only way where you were being seen and validated. And that was the only time when somebody appreciated you for who you were. That was the only time that you get the attention you should have gotten. So that's my thought, and kind of agreement with what that commentator said. That can be quite deeply rooted. Let's carry on. He could have said he had a wonderful partner now, but boy, the last one, and done the same jokes about this mystical ex. But he preferred embarrassing you in front of friends and family. Exactly. That's a perfect getaway. That's what I would do. Hence my comments, clearly it's not your girlfriend who's limiting you. It's your imagination that's limiting you, man. You did the right thing. He knew specifically how you felt. Came up with some BS rationalization why that no longer mattered. Yeah, I also pointed that. And did exactly what you asked him not to. And he has no remorse whatsoever. Not even remorse. He's upset that she ruined her night. Everything is about him, obviously. This wasn't going to get better. If he kept making jokes at your expense, you'd be livid. If he held back, he'd just complain about how you're censoring his art. You did the right thing. 100% Natasha, bad enough. Completely agree. Spot on comment. And just to finish the story, let's have a look at one more comment. I love this. Big not the a-hole. The jokes aren't harmless because they harmed you. Exactly. And that's always the key when it comes to stuff. It's like, oh, you're too sensitive. Oh, we need to be careful around everybody now to not hurt somebody's feelings. No, everyone has a different perception. And whatever I do right now and say, I actually can accidentally hurt somebody's feelings. But unfortunately, we can't avoid hurting somebody or somebody's feelings. But when we consciously know that there was a set boundary by your partner who told you, please never make jokes about our sexual life, and they willingly broke it, it's a big no-no. He also said that because we hadn't talked about this boundary in a long time, we've been together for 3 years, he assumed I had grown out of it. Okay, let's tweak that. When we got together, you said I couldn't fuck other girls, but you haven't mentioned that in a long time, so I assumed you'd grown out of it. That's an amazing shift of perspective. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, that sounds just as stupid. Personally, I'd be a bit vindictive. I'd put the story publicly, make it clear to all his fans that he'd agreed to keep your bedrooms private, that he made a promise to not joke about your sex life, but then he turned it into material for his big chance show. He betrayed the trust of his 3-year partner for his career. People are sensitive to that kind of thing these days. I'm not so entirely sure about it. I think lots of people would say that she was censoring him and wouldn't give a shit about our OP. But this is my dark, pessimistic me who thinks that. Yeah. Okay, so we'll wrap up the video on this note. I really enjoy reading the story. I hope you did enjoy it too. So please make sure you leave some comments and share your thoughts about it. And what would you do in this situation? Bye.